Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am.
It was a phenomenon that nobody really expected to ever be remade.
New Jack City is part of the cultures, the hip-hop cultures, our culture. And we haven't had that story told that way since.
Until now, the remake, including a star-studded cast like Treach from Naughty by Nature.
And then when the call came, I'm like, oh, you had me at hello.
Today on The Pulse, a hip-hop legend and a well-known actor talk culture, hip-hop history, and the remake of a classic.
So it's going to introduce a whole different audience to come and see plays and really know that it's a whole different experience.
Guys, welcome to The Pulse. Once again, you know what we do. We're bringing in people who've got great stories. They're doing cool things. They've got history and inspiration. And we're going to do that again today. We've got one of the legends of hip-hop, Treach, here with us, Naughty by Nature.
Naughty.
Now, Flex Alexander,
Yes.
Can we call you a legend of hip-hop too?
Yeah.
Yes. You know, they crossed over into acting, but I started as a hip-hop dancer and choreographer. I worked with them. I danced with Salt and Pepper.
Name drop.
Queen Latifah.
Name drop.
Crystal Waters.
But we do that.
So, you know, I was definitely entrenched in the hip-hop culture, and I was an extra dancer in the actual movie New Jack City. So this is full circle for me.
So I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Classic info.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
The Pulse,
Yeah.
you sit down and have
Pulse
the real
rocking, baby.
Yeah.
the real conversation.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you both coming in.
Thank you.
Spending some time with us. We jumped right into it because there's a lot of things we can talk to you guys about. But you're touring right now together with a lot of other folks because they decided to make New Jack City into a stage play.
Yes.
When you even heard they were going to make New Jack City into a stage play, your initial response?
Oh, I got to go.
Really?
Yeah. It was like, that was, like we said, for our culture and everything else, we didn't have a movie that represented like our story in the streets. You seen Scarface, The Godfathers, all of that, but a real street movie representing us, especially on the East Coast where we from, that was it. So it was like, what? A play?
So you wanted to go. Did
Yeah.
you want to be in it?
I mean, before I wanted to go first, I didn't know until I got the call. And then when the call came, I'm like, oh, you had me at hello.
You were in the first one. You just said, what was your
No, but
response?
I was the dancer, was the extra in the New Year's scene, and then the initial scene when Ice-T's character sees Wesley's character and G Money come in. I was the extra back then. That was the humble beginnings. But to see that, and then to get the call from Jacarius to Johnson, who was our executive producer, put it together, texted me, he said, hey, what are you doing in September? I said, I'm around. He said, I got something for you. And we had been trying to work together for years. And then when I get the thing, I'm like, what? New Jack City Live? I'm like, and in my mind, I'm thinking, how are they going to do this? I read the script, and I felt that it was a great adaptation.
So they called y'all.
Yes.
Y'all didn't have to audition.
No.
We were talking about that before we got started with the segment. And I'm sitting there asking, I wonder if they had to audition.
No, actually, Alan Payne, I worked with him on a movie called Jason's Lyric
Absolutely.
in the day. So he had put the word out to Jacarius, like, he was like, who would you think would be? Al said, Treach.
So they put you, Nino, right
Yeah.
from the
Yes.
jump.
From the door.
Okay.
Yeah. But you need a team.
Yeah.
And the team is there. Like, it's amazing, the lineup, the cast. You got Alan Payne, who was the original G Money there. He still looks the same.
Yeah.
This guy's a vampire. You understand? And everybody that they have in there fits their position so well. It's like unbelievable.
Yeah, we got Big Daddy Kane, who plays Stone, Gary Durdan, who plays Scotty. Just everyone is just
Fits
holding
the
it down.
character
Yeah,
to a T.
everyone, man.
To a
You know,
T.
it's interesting because when I started doing the research, you heard about New Jack City, the stage play, and I'm not in it. Nobody called me. But, I mean, I was available. They know what my role would have
They
been.
know you were here ordering.
Right. I'd like to think they
your
thought I was
clapper.
busy.
Yeah.
You know, so, but you read it and you're doing the research. And I went on social media and there were two kind of immediate responses.
Yes.
You know, there was the, yo, they're doing New Jack City and look who's going to be in it.
Yeah.
And then there was the, you can't mess with
Of
New
course.
Jack. It's like, come on.
Of
Like,
course, yeah.
So when you see those responses now, because y'all have seen it, you're in it. What do you say to the people who had that side? Like, you can't mess with New Jack City.
Listen, I understand it initially, But you like anything else, you have to experience it, man. You have to experience. You have to extend your realm of reality. And you know, somebody posted when I first posted it. It was like, man, how you gonna do New Jack City? G Money died, and I'm like, well, that's like saying you're not gonna watch another Denzel movie because he died in Training Day. You know what I'm saying? Like this is different. We're bringing it live and resurrecting the character, but also introducing, I think, a new style of play that is gonna revolutionize, don't you think, Treach? Like it's gonna change the game.
It's gonna change, and a lot of people who were naysayers, they never seen plays before. You know, so it's going to introduce a whole different audience to come and see plays and really know that it's a whole different experience.
Yeah, you were joking about name dropping earlier. I'm gonna name drop for a second because it ties in. It's interesting you say that because recently we've had kind of the early generations of hip hop on the show. You know, so Jazzy Jeff was just here talking about the kind of evolution of hip hop. Master P was just on talking about. And one of the points he made is that because you guys in some ways are the first generation of hip hop to get to that point. Like nobody has gotten old yet or older or seasoned on hip hop. People aren't used to seeing you transition into anything else.
I mean, it just shows like hip hop is ever expanding, ever growing, ever, you know, from, you spoke about Master P, from his entrepreneurship and everything he's been doing, like showing like you could venture out, Dr. Dre with Beats by Dre and different stuff. So you see like it's just multifaceted, and hip hop is a worldwide trend that's never going to end.
Next on The Pulse, are we as a society ready to see hip hop artists in a whole new light?
People just get you locked into one thing, and that's not your bag, that's their bag.
This is Treach, and what it means to me to play the character of Nino Brown in New Jack City Live. It's a chance in a lifetime.
Why do you think it's so hard for people to allow you guys to grow into other roles and doing other things? Master P's selling Snoopaloops and cereal and Mama Snoop's pancakes and whatnot. But said that people they're just not comfortable with that growth of hip hop. Why do you think it is? Or are they?
It's like seeing a person play a role. It's like for so long, people were not used to seeing Jaleel White play anything other than Urkel, you know, and he talks about that. And then him being able to make that transition to doing some pretty cool roles, people just get you locked into one thing, and that's not your bag, that's their bag.
When we were coming up, most of the naysayers were those that they didn't, you know, for the time, they didn't grow up off of hip hop. Now you got executives, you got people that's all around that grew up off of hip hop. So now they have the doors open for us to come in where we couldn't go in before, because it's like, what is this street music? It's nothing, it won't be here. Now they grew up off of it, and they're like bringing us into, we got commercials, we got advertisements, we got all types of stuff that's going on, because the execs now is like, I grew up off this and I'm a fan of them.
Okay, so seeing the people grow, it really is opening doors that people never thought would be open like that.
Right. Look at Ice-T. He's the longest running
male actor in history on network television. Law and Order for over 2 decades.
I was looking at the schedule. You guys are doing this through like February. They kept adding dates to it.
And there's some added after February.
Well, and some of them, like before any of this started, I'm kind of scrolling through. They're already sold out.
I just think it was the cast. When you saw the picture in New Jack City, especially when you seen Alan Payne, that was he like really solidified it. Like, whoa, hold on. And then you got the hip hop nation and fans that loves every individual's work of art up until then. Like, now I could go see this. I got to see it.
It's the culture. Like, New Jack City is part of the culture. It's the hip hop culture. It's our culture, and we haven't had that story told that way since.
What can you tell us, playing Nino? What can you tell us about this show? Like, what are we gonna see? What's different?
It shows Nino and G Money as youth, little story bites of who they were that's not in the movie. how they got to the point of where they are now. And a lot of we had like Q&As in Atlanta, and people afterwards was at like, yo, it was amazing how y'all really let us know how those characters got to where they were as growing up.
Yeah.
What
And
was their background.
I would add to that, people don't come to see Treach do Wesley. Wesley's Wesley. That's going to be. Treach is doing his interpretation, and which is an amazing, interpretation. So don't come looking for him to be Wesley. Know that Treach is going to give you Treach.
We don't come expecting you to be Chris Rock.
Not at all. I'm like 3 feet taller.
You said that with a lot of passion.
Well, I say that because
like, nah.
Because initially, there's no knock on Chris. I love Chris Rock.
Yeah,
I just
we
think
can't fill those shoes, but we have our own sneakers.
I'm just taking, like each of us, we take our, piece of what they've cemented, and we add on to it. We sprinkle our flavor on it.
Coming up, life lessons from a rapper no longer labeled as a hip hop kid.
And as young kids, we all was reckless at a certain time, but I used to sit down on the porch on our block and talk. They was like, why are you talking to the old man? I'm like, you don't know how much knowledge he had?
We're at a time right now with all the people we've talked to that the hip hop voices that kind of came up are feeling the need to talk to the young folks that are coming up right now for a lot of reasons. Like we're losing way too many people.
Yes.
In a lot of ways, it's starting to label what people think of hip hop. You see somebody lose their life, and you're kind of sitting back. You're not even really surprised anymore.
Right. Hip hop was started to get you out of the streets. You feel what I'm saying? To get you away from that, to give you a career and something that you're gonna have for your entire life, not just in your 20s to be, gone. So it's like, even with New Jack City, we show it's a message in it as well. You feel me? It's like, this is a lifestyle. Watch it on TV. Watch it in movies. Don't live that life. You see the end results. It's always showing you what's going to end up happening. It's not a way out. You know what I mean? It's a way really of self-destruction. We as adults, we could drop the jewels to them, but if they don't listen, they have to start really policing themselves. You know what I mean? Getting together. We had, like I said, self-destruction projects, and it's all in the same gang and everything else. We need our youth to do that now to show the other ones like we can get together. Like I'm knowing rivals in our era, Bloods and Crips, like did music together. If it wasn't for hip hop, that'd never had happened.
I was watching a sit down you did, and it escapes me right now, but you were sharing some of the stories of having been there when we were going through this as a community with Pac and Biggie. And how what was being presented out there in public was very different than what was going on.
Yeah. What's up is funny being Pac. We were doing an interview, and they was like, what's up with this East Coast, West Coast war? And I looked at Pac and said, F the West Coast. He looked at me, F the East Coast, and we laughing. Like, what? We of East Coast or West Coast buddies. Like, no, don't let it make you think that, no, it's just a coast and coast stuff. No, it's the way it's promoted through the media, certain media outlets, which make you think like, yo, it's just on. It's like wherever you go is street elements and everything else is not where you roll, is how you roll. And, as young kids, we all was reckless at a certain time, but I used to sit down on the porch on our block and talk. They was like, why are you talking to the old man? I'm like, you don't know how much knowledge he has? He went to war, he went to jail, he's still here at 70 and 80.
Do you feel a responsibility to share a message even as you're kind of on tour and acting?
Yeah, definitely, especially having a 18-year-old son, a black son. You know what I mean? It's really it's imperative for me, and he loves music, and I'm watching that, and so I don't want to tell him, man, you can't do that music. I'm trying to figure out the best way to reach that generation, because a lot of that generation, they don't want to listen.
Do they listen to you? I mean, you are.
Yeah, a lot
people
do.
know you.
Yeah, because I do gang interventions. I go to jails and speak to this. So they have respect for me because they know how I used to roll, and know, like, I'm not going to tell you which way to go, but I'm going to tell you how to make it out of where you at if you are willing to do it, you know, and I've been there, and they see the friends that I've lost and still are losing that's out there. So they like, you know, hey, I would be on the side of the street where the old men live to be old men, you know, instead of just dying in your 20s or teens.
Right.
Do you ever think when you're sitting there, like, I want to get to a certain age, but do you ever think when you're doing early on in your career that you would get here? There'd be businessmen and actors and
30 years later, you can never. Everybody wants to be successful forever and in the game, and you know, keep reinventing themselves. But it's not just a wish or a hope. You got to work for it. A lot of our kids, I see, they never get outside of their own hometown. When Latifah took me on the road for the first time, I came back. I'm like, I'm never gonna hustle or be in the streets ever again. There's a world outside of my hood. I thought my hood was the best thing ever until I traveled the world and the states. I'm like, it's an outside world.
Next on The Pulse. Now, these are the stories we rarely get to experience.
A lady came over, you know, took a picture with him, was super excited, and he's always, you know, amenable. He got, oh, hey, we'll talk to her. She comes in with a boombox and Buffalo Wild Wings, puts it on the table 3 feet from us, and she starts going,
we on the phone.
We're on the phone. And I'm like, ma'am, excuse me.
Look, Bobby, I have a new album coming out, and I need a new look.
Man, you played Michael Jackson.
I'm
sorry.
You ain't seeing moonwalk here? He moonwalked right to the coffee.
Like, I had that, but I say that with respect.
I got to explain that one.
Okay.
So, no, listen, first of all, I'm a Michael Jackson fan. But when I got the call to go and meet the producers, I was not thinking by a long shot. I'm 6'4". I'm dark. It's not happening. I go in, I sit down. I didn't audition. I'm just talking to the guy, and the guy he was very passionate about doing a piece that was not going to bash him, and we're not doing that, and we're actually taking it from actual court documents, and we'll just leave the opinion to the viewer. So I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, right, Michael Jackson, okay, all right, hey, nice to meet you, boom. I leave 2 days later. Hey, man, they want to offer you. I'm like, come on, are you kidding me? And we go up to shoot it in Calgary, and I get up there, and I see the makeup. I knew it was going to be trouble when I walked into the makeup room. I saw the prosthetic nose. I was like, yeah, I'm not wearing that. I'm not wearing that. I did these big numbers with Man in the Mirror, with all these songs, and then fourth quarter, the producers come to the trailer. Hey, Flex, yeah. So about the music, yeah, we couldn't get it. The lawyers fought against it, and I was like, but you told me. And then that's when I knew. I said, that you need the. I think if it had the music, it people might have had a little more patience with it.
I wasn't trying to insult you. I was just gonna ask, like, what's it like having to do? Because you're doing it, and it's very different now. But I mean, you're playing these roles, characters, and now doing it with New Jack City. Yeah. That people have a passionate connection to.
You keep going, and for me, the character that of the show I created, One-on-One, which was super important to me. Going back to talking about the youth,
Kyla Pratt was here.
Yes, Kyla Pratt. Yes, that was super important to me. I wanted to do a show that showed a black father who didn't run from responsibility. That was important to me. I was like, we got to show this, and that. People locked me into that character. They say, I'm Mr. Washington. I'm checking the hotels. Hi, Mr. Washington. I'm like, it's Mr. Alexander, but that's okay. But I appreciate that because I've met so many people fathers who said, yo, I'm a single dad, and this was our time. I sat down with my daughter and we watched the show. So I'm appreciative of that.
I feel like if people know you for something, if people can start rapping back your songs to you, if people are calling you Mr. Washington, I feel like you accomplished
hold up.
Stamped it.
We were in the airport. I got to tell us, we were in the airport with Buffalo Wild Wings. So we were trying to get something to eat. A lady came over, took a picture with him, was super excited, and he's always, amenable. He got, oh, hey, we'll talk to her. She goes in the back. So now we're on the phone, we're talking, and then I hear like back in the day, you would hear the music come from down the block. So I'm hearing, she comes in with a boombox and Buffalo Wild Wings, puts
In
it
the
on
airport.
the table 3 feet from us, and she starts going.
And we on the phone.
We're on the phone, and I'm like, "Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am, he's on the phone." It was so funny, but it was funny, but it was like, "Yo, that's love." You know, it was a different kind of love, but
Could have taken a little less love.
A little less love.
But that one was good.
That's the effect of hip hop, man. That's the
Yeah.
effect, man. That's so dope.
We end the Pulse the same way with every guest that we have. It's the concept of use your voice for good. You know, whatever that means to you.
Wherever we go, we get that positive energy. Let the world know. You turn on the television and the news, and it looks hopeless. It looks like you don't want to walk outside. Walk outside and make a difference.
I would say let's get back to love. Let's get back to love.
Two of the stars of the New Jack City stage show, Flex Alexander and Treach from Naughty by Nature. And it was fun hearing that they accept the responsibility for their role. They're enjoying coming back and recreating such a legendary film. I enjoyed the conversation as always. I hope you did as well. I want to remind you that if you want the whole interview, you can go download the podcast, subscribe, get it every place that podcasts are available. And of course, I leave you today, as I always do, reminding you that when you can, use your voice for good.